So it's time to start adding in a little bit of detail. I'm not going to do the roof yet because that's kind of tricky and challenging. I'd rather make some progress here. So I'm going to start adding in a little bit of detail. And detail is, of course, the wrong word to use. This isn't detail. It's just placeholders for the detail. The first thing I might do is look at, this cornice at the top of the wall, and I'll use T for tape measure, and then I'll just pull something down, and then I've blocked it out. That's all I've really done. I can see where it's supposed to go. Okay, and then I'll move on to these pilasters. And remember that I'm putting this guide outside of the component or group. And I got to keep reminding you, if you're not using components or groups, then you solemnly swear that you are up to no good. You are making life so hard down the road, and it's got to be grouped. It's got to be componentized. Don't know if that's a word, but I use it all the time. Okay, now to do the rest of these, again, I'm drawing on the outside of the component, and I'm going to do T for tape measure. I just want to know, how wide is this thing? 2 foot. It's about 2 foot 2 right there. Okay, perfect. And I can tell, it's hard to see in this image, but there is a half pilaster here in the corner, and then a full, and then a full, and then there's a half pilaster over here. And instead of following the image, I know this is symmetrical, or at least it appears to be. So I'm trying to ignore the image and just use math and division, to make sure that the pilasters are spaced out equally. And I have a quick trick that I use for that. So try to follow this as best you can. It's a little bit confusing the first time. Maybe rewind and watch if you don't get it the first time. But what I like to do is group all the pilasters together like this. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say the first one is half, so half the regular size, so that would be 1 foot 1. And then the next one is 1 foot, it's 2 foot 2. Okay, so that shape right there, that little block out refers to the width of this pilaster. And then I'm going to do one more, and this is going to be 2 foot 2. And then I'm going to do one more for the half pilaster over here. And in fact, it might even be easier if I just, for the last one, I'll just come and put it over here on this side where it's supposed to go. So that's 1 foot 1 for that one. Okay, and what I've just done is I've given myself the space that's left over. If you were to take this full wall and subtract a half pilaster, a full pilaster, and another half pilaster, how much space would you be left with? Well, it would go from here over to here. I'll draw a line. This is the space you'd be left with. And make sure you're always in axis. You can push shift if you need to constrain it to an axis. But that distance right there, if I were to divide that by 3, that would tell me the distance from this edge, half pilaster, to this edge, full pilaster. Okay, I'll explain that one more time. What I did is I grouped all my pilasters with their proper measurements, and then I saw the remaining distance that would exist along this wall from that corner to that corner. If you subtract out the pilasters, this is what you're left with. And in my case, I just divide that space by 3. Okay, now how do I do that? Well, if I just draw myself a little line right here, and then select the line, and I'm going to use the array tool, so M for move after I select it, push Control so you get the little plus symbol, and I'm going to move that from one side to the other, which is next to this pilaster. And it looks like I'm just off a little bit. I don't want to go to the end of that line. I want to go to where it hits the pilaster, which would be right there. And then I'm going to push divide on my keyboard, and then the number 3. And there you have it. Those are the actual distance if everything is equally spaced for these bays in between their pilasters. There's one. Here's another one. And here would be the third from here to here. Okay, so with that in mind, I don't need most of this anymore. All I really need is this line right there. I don't really even need this one. Okay, so now I can take this guide, and I'm going to move it. Actually, I'm going to move 2 of them, right? I'm going to move both of these because that will show me where my pilaster ought to be. And it's not in line with the picture really at all. But I think that using math here is more important than alignment with my picture, because I know that these things should be equally spaced. Okay, and then I can take these two guides, and I'm going to push M for move, and then Control for copy, and I'm just going to take the right-hand side so that I copy that distance over again. Okay, make sure you're in axis. I'm going to hold down Shift with the red showing. There it is. And now look what I have. Now I'm left with half pilaster space, or bay, pilaster bay, pilaster bay, half pilaster. This is awesome. There's no geometry here yet, but I'll know exactly what to do when I get there. So in fact, I should probably do this inside of my component. And I guess you wouldn't have to. This is a little bit tricky here, knowing what to do. Here, let's play it safe. I'll go outside the component, and I will start by drawing this first piece. And I'm going to push-pull that. Let's try that again. And I'll use my image again just to see, how far should I pull this thing out? And that's tricky because there isn't really an edge that I can align this to. So I just got to guess it. And I'm looking down here to see how far it sticks out. And I would imagine that's like 10 inches to a foot. Maybe I'll just go 10 inches and let's see. Okay, good enough for now. Good enough. Okay, and then to be safe, let's just make that a group. Oh, look, there was a line left over here. I got to delete that out. Okay, now I triple click this, and I'm going to make it a group. Okay, now my pilaster. You know what? On second thought, let's go ahead and make this a component. Make component. I don't need to name every one of them. Some are important, and this one's just not. Okay, now I got a component. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for my first pilaster. And I'm building it on the outside of the wall.